My volume should be okay, but I want to take a second to check that as well as my encoding options. So encoding options are there. I think we're also tagged for the right game. Sorry, this is all just before I load up Stellaris. Okay. And then final step, the audio settings aren't completely peaking out, so I think we're good, but yeah, there we go. I've noticed lately that Windows has gone back to pretty much always setting the microphone to 100 every time I reset. So, and that's been really uncomfortable for people who are starting up a new, a new broadcast or VOD. So that's a new thing for me to work on. So we're back to Stellaris. I do apologize because last week I was not able to stream it. I did put out a tweet, but I sort of recognize, I think probably, excuse me, in terms of outreach, like Twitch is pretty much the main way that people will be in touch with me. Second to that seems to be YouTube, although in some cases YouTube is starting to overtake Twitch in a few regards. Twitter follows that. The Discord probably follows that because I think there's a number of people who will at least read stuff that are announcements there. I should probably start doing some more sort of stream-oriented announcements inside of that. And then the blog is sort of the last one, which is fine because the blog doesn't announce stuff for the stream anyway. But with that in mind, basically, it's essentially unpaid overtime that kept me from streaming. And you better believe I'm really annoyed with my employer about that. Hello, Senior Q. If I recall correctly, Senior Q, I think you stopped by one of the Elder Scrolls episodes, and I'd actually just stepped away for the keyboard for a minute. I'm sorry if you're not the right person. So I did see your message and wanted to say hi, but I think you might have been gone by the time I got back. I think I missed it by about 3 minutes or so. I mean, it's also been over a week, so I could totally have the wrong person down. But anyways, my apologies for not being there. Obviously, the VOD stuff is a little less. Obviously, the VOD stuff is a little less popular, but also it's a little harder for me to sort of stay put for the full duration because I already know what happened in the episode. But yeah, anyways. Grant. Okay, cool. Thank you. But yeah, so excuse me. I've had a tickle in my throat for Lord knows how long. And how are you doing, Cool Facts? I don't know if you saw the last time that we did this. We've actually got some ridiculous crime in a rival empire already, so we're definitely going to be following some more of that. But yeah, so I'm going to need to get reacquainted with the playthrough that we've been doing, but I want to start off on the right foot on this and say that I am playing a copy of Nemesis that was given to me by Paradox. And that has been true sort of for the first game in the series, the base game, Stellaris, basically up to the present entry. I've been playing a copy of the game or the DLC that's been provided by the developer for promotional purposes, which, as I always say, I am obviously very grateful for, but I do not sort of want to take for granted. And I realize that playing a game can come off as an endorsement, and obviously I'm really fond of the game, so it's not just not wanting it to come off as an endorsement. I do actually endorse the game quite a few times over the course of these broadcasts, so if you're thinking of making a purchasing decision, I know it was on sale recently, but I don't think it is anymore. Let me just take a quick peek. No, it is not. At least not on Steam. But yeah, keep that in mind. I do try to do my best to make sure that I remember to say that as early as I can. Maybe with that in mind, the DLC that I don't have are Aquatics and Necroids, and then the DLC that I bought for myself was Humanoids and Plantoids. But we're playing everything but Necroids and Aquatics, and with the exception of the ones that I said that I bought on my own, all of them have been provided by, are enabled and provided by Paradox. So we have been playing the Natraxian Rum Runners. These are there's a whole sort of backstory that I've worked out for them. The basic idea is that they got so good at smuggling and essentially defying the will of the kind of the government, that when catastrophic climate change came to their planet, they already had... Essentially, the idea here is that this is a smuggling group that was so effective at what it did that it went to space and developed a much stronger infrastructure for that purpose than the underlying society. And so when catastrophic climate change came along, they were the ones to sort of inherit the stars. So because I'm playing a Megacorp, Empire Sprawl is rearing its head, but we did wind up with the really powerful, and we've already activated it. Where is it? It's not under technology. The really powerful I think it's Baal? But yeah, anyways, we can start making Gaia worlds, which for a habitat-based species seems like a pretty powerful ability. Yeah, needless to say, I was pretty happy when I realized the implications. One challenge I am going to run into is these neighbors. So I believe we are starting to close the gap with them. I don't necessarily want to, Superior is still something I need to be cautious about. But the other concern, of course, is that with the higher Empire Sprawl, it's not just that I'm, I have more constraints on my growth compared to these, compared to the species, but it also means that the rate at which I'm going to advance is going to be slower. So in the case of, because of the penalties here, I now have over 15% higher technology costs, and I don't necessarily have the science to back that up. So definitely there's going to be a high priority towards clearing out the Empire Sprawl. So the dilemma that I have right now is, do I colonize Stellaris 2, which is the more appealing of the two options as far as the colony is concerned, like as far as the turning into a Gaia world is concerned? Or do I turn around and say, we'll grab Castor because Castor is, further away from scary stuff, and but it's a Savannah world, so it's size 14. Sorry, it's not a size 14 because it's a Savannah world, but it is a size 14 world. So, yeah, I believe we already have Mercantile in this one. Or actually, I think we're still on our way to completing it. Yep. So I think we were going to do insider trading and then move down from trickle-up economics to commercial enterprise. But yeah, I think we're at the point now. I was definitely scared of this empire sort of rolling over and crushing us. But in this case, I'm actually feeling a little more secure. Also, okay, we don't know how strong they are yet. So against my better judgment, let's colonize Stellaris 2. And we don't have the alloys. Can I buy the alloys? God, it feels like it's been forever, so... Do I want to... Yeah, I can wait. Okay, so priority when I can will be to build a colony ship to take Stellaris. Now, we've got unemployment. I know we had a whole bunch of new workers come in. So first question is, who's unemployed? All right, so I could definitely handle that. We're kind of packing all of the stations and then eventually moving people in. Now, what's the story here? Subra 1. Yeah, well, you did make it administrative. So I think this is kind of a no-brainer. It's a tough call. One of the challenges that I ran into previously was on Gruner Prime. So we had taken a tomb world, and what I didn't really appreciate at the time was what I didn't appreciate at the time was the fact that I wouldn't have any agriculture districts. Because, of course, it's Tomb World. Why would it have it? So part of this is going to be... Like, the thing is that with a Gaia world, there's so much stuff that I want to do with it. It's everything from... You're absolutely right, like defense. Now, chances are it's going to have a stronghold anyway, because that's just generally what I do on places where there's lots of room to grow stuff. But you know, as you point out, like I need to deal with food. Part of it might actually resolve itself once I start adding. If I recall correctly, I don't really have a lot of bases, and some hydroponics pods kind of are what the doctor ordered. Although again, I kind of need to decide where I want to start putting all of these. The alloys are definitely in short supply, or shorter supply than I would like them to be. What else did I want to accomplish? Actually, I guess we can take a look. Okay, so Siluria has... It's about even between mining and agriculture. Clearly, agriculture is the more important of the two. And that would give us... So either we can max out the resource extraction, which would give us 3 tiles left over to split between city districts and industrial districts. If I go straight for agriculture districts, then that's 6 between city and industrial. Obviously, we're doing great for energy, so I don't really see much of a reason to build generator districts here. No rare planetary features. Same is true. Okay, well, and if I want to put stuff... Oh yeah, so actually maybe the other way of looking at this trade-off is the size 14 versus the size 16. There's just simply more of what I need on Siluria. So yeah, we'll probably fill it up with farms, and then... Yeah. We'll wait. There is a temptation to build bureaucracy on that world. Okay, so... Yeah, that's building a Corvette. I could kill the Corvette, and yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that because I want the planet as early as I can. Alright, so this is an industrial station. It seems to me like it's not a bad idea to put another hydroponics farm. That kind of seems to be true for a lot of the other stations that I've done. The other question is, like, what else would I do? Hang on, why did I put a stronghold here? Oh, because I put a stronghold on all of them. I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt, given the opposing forces we're up against. Okay. I may, I don't know, I may change some of those, but I'm not opposed to the way it's being set up. Okay. Those are my owned worlds. Now, if I recall correctly, we cannot open our new branch until we get better intelligence. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wait till we're at the 65 to see if that actually gives us eyes within their empire. And if it doesn't, clearly I need more assets. But certainly we were able to, see what was going on the worlds back. Back in the earlier stages. We've got 2... Oh, really? We used to have a lot more crime on a couple of these other ones. I guess they're getting some enforcers. Well, it's not that different from their home world. I don't know. I'll see if we can push those numbers. I'll be honest with you. Work has really been dragging me down. But I really try not to bring that across into the stream, because everybody's got their problems with work. Just mine's, hitting a particularly frustrating and vicious end. But I'm excited to be back to Stellaris. I know I'm kind of taking some time to get started. It's mostly just because I want to get some ideas about where we stand. Okay, so I think I know what my general plans are. I'd love to be able to build out further, but we're not going to do that yet. I need to get my sprawl under control. And that's just going to come through growth. Once I have eyes on the enemy territory, we can expand our franchises. I do also need to think about how I'm going to sort of get a presence within the Nar consciousness. The challenge here is that I'm currently using so I've got my 2 envoys. One of them always needs to be here to maintain relations with the Lox Ungrakva royal states. Maybe if we go to war, I'm willing to change the attitude. But at the moment here, I want to be trying to improve that relationship as much as possible to buy us the time to build a more terrifying fleet. So, there's different ways that we can get envoys, but for now, we just have to resort to... essentially, we're just kind of waiting on getting any new information from the Nar consciousness. We haven't run into any other factions yet. I'll just double check that we don't have anything to... so it looks like we do have a few first contacts. But again, the question is, what do we do? Like, what envoy do we assign to that? Yes, I too am looking forward to the galactic community. It's definitely feeling a bit empty here. Okay, I think we're ready to unpause and see where it all takes us. So my construction ships are going to be bored for a little while, just because I really want to minimize the Empire sprawl.
Anomaly detected.
Observing the massive asteroid FL-487, we have found something. Further investigation is warranted. For those of you who may not recall the last trip that we took, we went to the Sol system and saw that the cucarachas inherited the Earth. What was that? Education campaign and recycling campaign. Those are both energy based, so I'm more than happy to put those in. I do want to buy alloys where I can, but I'm trying to minimize the cost. Mining your own business. Deep within a crevice of the giant asteroid FL-487, we have found something astonishing. There's mining gear attached to the rock, digging itself into the vast depth of the asteroid. It stands abandoned with no sign of who placed it here. If we can stop the machine, we might be able to learn something about the technology used to build it, but we must hurry before random debris crushes it. So if we try and stop it, I think that requires a construction ship. And we can try and scrap it for materials, which... to be honest, like 83 a turn isn't like mind-boggling as far as minerals are concerned. But let's let's try and stop the machine.
Log updated.
So this does need a construction ship. That's gonna take... Normally it says how long it takes to move. Got a few years. Actually, I guess the thing I could do would do move here.
Resource scan
1090.
complete.
Okay, so that's actually going to take longer than that event allows. That takes longer than the other one. So unfortunately, actually, there's one outside chance. So a construction ship's going to take 60 days. God, that is going to be close. That might work, though. So I gotta be really, really quick on my space bar. How you doing, Index Gnome? An odd factor. A second group of individuals has gone missing after working at the odd factory. Fortunately, one of the workers was able to leave a recording behind, revealing that there are traps capturing unsuspecting workers. The traps have been disabled, and we should be able to use the factory without further issues. However, the populace are none too happy about the potential death trap, no matter what we say. People will... You know what? Invest in securing the location. So I really don't want to see it, but so it says 10:30, 10:08. No! How did I get those numbers so wrong?
Boom! I found something.
Sensor echoes have indicated the presence of some kind of unidentified object deep within the atmosphere of this gas giant. I mean, I'll still send the thing along, but all good now. You found some great guys streaming after finished work. Oh, that you mean to? Sorry, I was gonna say. I thought you were. I was gonna say. Oh, you what was the streamer? And then I was like, I think you might be talking about me. I don't think it does. I hope it doesn't. Yeah, it's still there. I think I'm going to send him off to the Dolok habitat. I do need to build a replacement Corvette as well. How you doing, Night Alien? That is true. Cyberpunk 2077 is something that I bring out whenever people have been particularly well behaved and particularly you know, like when Uncle Cranky stops communist agitating for a long enough time and you play enough rounds of Fortnite, I like to bring out Cyberpunk as a little treat. You're dying? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. For those of you, I don't know if Night Valiant will be streaming tonight, but Night Valiant has been playing Dragon's Breath 4. Now, I don't know if you finished number 4, because I think you'd beaten the final boss when we talked. But I don't know how... It felt like there was more that you had to do in that game. But yes, for those of you who particularly like either older or indie games, Night Valiant does a very good job of presenting them and is actually quite a bit more consistent than I am in terms of streaming. He basically streams every single day, although again, please keep in mind he did say that he was sick, so give the man a break if he can. Of course you think I talked about you. The Earth is the center of the universe. Well, that's just... I originally took it as you talking about somebody else, for what it's worth. I don't know. I'm particularly oblivious when it comes to stuff. If it is another streamer that you found, though, please feel free to let us know. I am not one of these people who likes to pretend that there are not other broadcasters on the streaming platform. But yes, if you... I don't know what you're playing afterwards, Night Valiant, but I'm sure there's a few people who'd be interested. Okay, energy signature. The ISS Irid Sac has picked up a strange energy signature coming from somewhere deep inside the atmosphere of Hyen 2. It appears to originate from a structure of some kind, possibly the remains of an orbital station, but the atmospheric pressure makes it impossible to approach. Nevertheless, the scans of the unique signature have yielded large amounts of valuable physics data.
Prospect analyzed.
So at some point I am going to upgrade the base that appears here.
Anomaly detected.
But we need 200 alloys for that. Preliminary scans of LA4234 indicate that a heavily armed vessel is in orbit of the asteroid. It would be wise to proceed with caution.
Wow, we really hit this tech out of the ballpark.
UV laser. Ultraviolet lasers are an updated and more powerful version of their blue predecessors. Accurate and destructive, these weapons are capable of inflicting great damage. So we can boost our encryption, which is kind of tempting given the fact that... I mean, we shouldn't assume that people are not looking at our mail. It is obviously very tempting to go for high-tech weaponry, but I am going to go for the encryption just so we don't move on. What's the winning plan this time? Well, right now I am enjoying the fact that on paper these guys are not as strong as they seem to be. Again, they do still rank as superior by the game's measure of things, but essentially I'm kind of doing the whole Canada strategy of... I'm doing a kind of a whole... doing a whole strategy of delay as much as possible while I build up my forces, and then ideally they're going to get into another fight with the neighbors, who are sort of an equivalent power. But essentially, when I think there's an opportunity to sort of really put the screws to them to go in, the ideal will be to sort of capture this part of the galaxy for myself. The one drawback about the waiting game is that clearly they do not have the same issues with Empire Sprawl that I do, and so it's possible that I've set myself up for a race which I actually don't have the stamina to maintain. So we'll see where we go. And any idea about how I want to build my ships and fleets? Not really. I was hoping to get a little more intelligence about how these things are designed. But right now it's basically I'm just picking whatever the most powerful weapon I have, and hoping for the best. Which is not really a strategy, but... Yeah, well, I mean, as far as we're concerned, war is bad for business, but we are playing a war game, so I'm not gonna do a pacifist run. Nefri's Pride. The armed vessel discovered in orbit of LA4234 is an abandoned military spacecraft called Nefri's Pride. Its light frame and evasion hardware suggest it was built for long-distance patrol missions, but it has since been retrofitted into a long-range stealth bomber. Records of the ship's comms reveal that it was hijacked by a rebel guerrilla on its way to perform, a strike against a secret complex called Zvan Labs, said to hold a weapon so powerful it would win them the war when they were shot down. We have extracted the ship's destination from its navigational drive. Send a science crew to the lab.
Log updated.
I have enough to upgrade them.
They can't afford to take us on.
I knew it! Alright, so this is an Expel Corporation war. The Lox Ungrak Va Royal States will no longer stand for your underhanded practices and unconscionable exploitation of common galactic assets. So all branch offices owned by the Natraxian Rum Runners in the Lox Ungrak Va Royal States are closed, and they receive 1,000 for each closed office. I'm going to guess that I'm not able to claim... Oh, looks like I can. So yeah, we are going to go for Conquest. Oh, never mind. I've never understood how this works. Because it's like it always says, it feels like it's giving you an option, except that it really isn't. So I just spent a bunch of influence, which I probably couldn't have. Okay, so this is a little inconvenient timing-wise because I need to upgrade the fleets. How powerful is this one for? Actually, you know what? This is the time where you wanna pay up. So what we're gonna kind of rely on here is I want to see how quickly they move, because I may cancel the upgrades and just defend with what I have. And that colony ship's gonna go down on the list of priorities. So let's see what the movement looks like. Yeah, they're making good time. But we're only 2 away. Sorry, 3 away.
Technology discovered. Rad.
A well-oiled war machine is the key to exerting influence on a galactic scale. Backed by the might of our military, we can lay claim to almost anything we want. Really isn't any cheap options here. Let's clear the tile blockers.
Anomaly detected.
The debris field, which 333P83 is part of, rolls and swirls under the influence of unknown forces. I saw a ship move through there. I'm really questioning this choice of upgrades. Just because it seems to take so long. Wait a minute. They're almost certainly on their way.
Anomaly found. Hey, can we monetize this?
At first glance, this planet does not seem capable of supporting living beings, but nevertheless we have detected life signs emanating from somewhere beneath its frozen surface. I'm also curious... 167. I think let's just keep with the defensive platforms for now. Yeah, I think my better option here is just build corvettes. So again, it'd be nice to have the most advanced chips, but
planetary exploitation forecast.
The big scary fleet went out of view, and it's possible that we're going to show up late now. Quite the strength. As the ISS Irid-Naz passed through the asteroid belt on its way to 333P83, Science Officer Derbaxa reported that the ship experienced a number of sudden gravitational shifts. Ever curious, Derbaxa dispatched a number of probes to scan the debris field to discern the cause. Turns out that the culprit is a number of gravity generators of old alien make. Sputtering on dying energy sources with their polarities inverted, they occasionally spew reverse gravity into the void, though not with enough force to cause any serious harm. Not anymore. Science Officer Derbaxa theorizes that the generators once provided artificial gravity for a large asteroid in the belt, but some malfunction eventually tore the rock apart. Sorry, I need a minute to think. I think we're just going to park ourselves in Siluria. If I can give him a big bloody nose, that's best. Now you feel like you need to play some Aurora 4X. I really want to get into that. Sorry, I know it's tedious to sit and watch somebody think their way through things. Actually, I think I can probably just combine them like that, and they'll sort it out between themselves. Right, it was my... So at this point, we might as well just recall the ambassador, and we will build up our spy network. Oh, we already did. Okay. I mean, if I get really desperate on it, I could always just try and, I could always try and, oh, actually, sabotage Starbase would be really good. Yeah, well, that's just it. So much of my stuff is done on streaming time.
Hostile fleet. Can we take them?
The Alax Astral Battle Grip. And they're on course to the chat lib. Okay, that I'm not worried about. What I am worried about is whatever pops up in this whole area. Cool thoughts. We didn't detect life forms below the surface. We detected them in the entire world. The frozen planet is interspersed with micro-thin tubes linked like a rudimentary computer. While the structure is primitive, its galactic scale means it can probably rival some of Kirok's private stash's supercomputers in output. Even now, the computer seems to be active, but our scientists can interface with it. But since it's so slow, we would only be able to ask it a single question. Can you solve these calculations? Who made you? What are we? Or best to observe from afar? Well, this is a little far away. The alien artifacts is kind of tempting. And social is actually one of my laggards. So, who made you? Yeah, so it's only one small group.
Found some enemies.
Yeah, this is weirding me out in terms of the fleet strengths that are actually
Prospect
moving.
analyzed. Prospect analyzed. Prospect analyzed.
The geoscape of Yerum 2 is dominated by what appear from orbit to be silvery metallic crystals of dimensions never before seen from orbit. They eerily resemble skyscrapers. Closer study is warranted. So I kind of want to keep an eye on here, because if the AI keeps going into this system, I'm going to be laughing and stealing their worlds. Also, the new fleet is done. Oop. I don't think I have anything special I want to do with this ship right now, so let's get them to auto-explore. Nope, don't like that choice. Although, who's gonna... That's maybe not quite as bad as it seems. So I'll catch up on a little bit of exploration, I suppose. One of the main reasons you can never see yourself making a living as a streamer would be that it's hard to just play what you want at times. Yeah, I mean, it's worth remembering where I... So where I originally started streaming was because I was in school, and it was a really convenient way for me to reduce gaming time down to like to these fixed periods. Okay, so there's the 2.5K fleet. So what's going on here? Again, I don't want to take on fair fights, but we are very likely able to take out the Julau starbase. I don't think we get to see exactly what it's got armed. But yeah, so you're absolutely right. Like, some of the stuff I personally enjoy playing are not things that I would really consider streaming. But you know, it is what it is. The thing is, not everybody has to be a streamer. Like, I would clearly never make a living doing this, but you know, I also do get paid to do streams now every once in a while. So, you know, part of it is just, I do really like sharing games with people. So when it comes down to the idea of like gaming being a social experience, I'm not necessarily going, like, one thing I would love is to have a regular group of people to do something like go through the Division with, or to be able to, you know, put together a Lance in MechWarrior Online, or, you know, someone who I would regularly play games with to play something like It Takes Two with. And unfortunately, I just really don't have someone like that, let alone a group of people like that. But being able to put up a game that I find interesting and talk about why I find it interesting, and sometimes when that game lines up with what some of my outside of gaming interests are, that itself can be worthwhile and worth sharing. And so that's kind of the reason why I keep doing it. There's definitely lots of stuff I would like to do differently, and I'm sure I can over time. But that's kind of the big one. Being able to write off the games you play on your taxes would be nice. Yeah, I actually haven't really bought as much for the stream as I used to. And Game Pass and things like that have actually been really helpful along those lines. But it's also true that since the affiliate program came in, the amount that comes in specifically from streaming is also less. Nanite crystal lattices. Detailed analysis of the enormous metallic crystals dominating Yerum 2's landscape have defied all expectations. Science Officer Drayden is expected to reveal that these oversized crystals are in fact composed of trillions upon trillions of deactivated nanites. Their molecular structure matches no known empire's nanotechnology signatures, making their point of origin indeterminable. They may have been deposited on the planet by some unknown spacefarers for an unknown purpose. As far as Drayden can tell, the nanites compiled themselves into perfectly oriented crystalline lattices and replicated until a point at which they became deactivated. While the crystals they created do in fact resemble buildings, they are entirely uniform in composition and cannot possibly have served any such purpose. So the great temptation is to go crashing into this thing and take it for ourselves. The question is whether or not we can hold it long enough to...
Boom! I found something!
Bits and pieces of metal are strewn across J3L1866 surface, encircling what looks to be like the hulk of a ship. The wreckage appears deserted, but energy readings remain. Okay, so that moved back. So in this case, selling them off does make the most sense. Buying here, though, is less of a good idea. See, I lost track of the 2K strength fleet. We'll see. If they show up in the Kuiper system, then I'm going to move on Julao. And if they show up elsewhere, then I prepare for the fight. Stranded scientists. The wreckage on the asteroid J3L1866 is the remains of a vessel belonging to a now stranded scientist, Kashnak, identifying herself as belonging to the hitherto unknown Corinth species. From amidst the wreckage, she somehow managed to contact Drayden, the science officer stationed aboard the ISS Irid Sac, and is requesting to be rescued. She explains that her collision was due to malfunctioning navigational sensors, and that she's been unable to leave the asteroid for several years. She claims that her scientific knowledge would be to be without equal, and that she would be a valuable asset. She points to her survival as proof of that. So you could say we leave her. Yeah, no, that's not happening. She may join our cause. So that's probably going to mean some adjustments in the labs. Although we have a lot of geniuses already. That's a level 6 spark of genius. So that's plus 67. Okay, nope, so this was the right call. Although she definitely makes a lot more sense because of the computing bonus. I might build another scientist, I'm not sure. Or another science ship, I'm not sure. But for now, we'll just... we'll leave it be. There's a really hard decision to be made here. So, like, sitting and waiting, and so, like, I could build more defense platforms. I could sit and upgrade the Starhold. The Starhold is like the real thing that I want to go for, but it ties up a lot of resources, and at a time when you know, if I do wind up taking a big hit, what I'm going to want to do is have enough alloys to be able to rebuild things. One thing, I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about this. So the rate at which the war exhaustion is accumulating is equal for both parties, and I kind of feel like the attacker should be the one who has a little bit more of an onus on them to deliver the goods, right? We're fighting for, I mean, this is a real life thing too, right? We are fighting for our survival, whereas they are fighting for expansion. So my biggest worry would be to try and take the Jula system, excuse me, and our war exhaustion climbs up because it's so costly to claim it. The appeal of taking Julau is that actually gives me an even stronger station from which to launch attacks on the enemy territory. But if I miscalculate, or if their ships can arrive to defend them in a short enough period, then it means that my fleets get wiped out and they're able to go into Siluria and effectively kind of do whatever they want to my empire. So for the time being, I'm staying put. But the one thing I don't want to do is just wait for the entire duration of the war. It is actually favorable for me to at least claim this system because it's also a choke point and I'm able to turn their resources against me. I mean, the other thing that would be nice is to be able to upgrade the ships. One thing I'll probably do is build like a temporary shipyard in the Siluria system, just so that I can get those boosts. But for the time being, I mean, the other thing I might consider doing is building sort of a second line of defenses. But I think we should double down and put the effort into the main system. And it really pains me to do this, but I think I'm actually going to pay up for the alloys. Again, not the best use of my energy right now, but... Yeah, that's a trickier one, Index Gnome. Like, I sort of agree that... I mean, and this is the thing, too, right? Is that obviously any balance that you do has to serve, you know, a fun game in the first place. Any other... Like... I know a lot of people sit down. It's like multiplayer, right? If you say to somebody, like, "Hey, do you want multiplayer?" They're like, "Yeah, I want multiplayer." And then you take a look at the actual statistics, and like people aren't playing multiplayer. You know, it's another one of these things. Is like, you know, do you want more realism? It's like, yeah, I want more realism, but really, we don't. You know, realism is the one thing that usually makes games not very fun. So. Advances in our computing technology have given us ways to protect our data from prying eyes. The real world is unfair, and it's not always very interesting. Hyperdrive 2 would be really helpful here.
I found something.
One of the small moonlets orbiting this gas giant has been identified as a promising mining site. A more thorough survey will have to be conducted to determine whether a mining operation would be feasible or not. How's my espionage going? Not at the full level yet. Again, if we could actually get eyes on the enemy ships, that would completely transform this.
Resource scan complete.
That would completely transform this war. But for now, we just kind of need to be patient. Good news is, in 5 days, we are going to be on our way to upgrading. Precious Moon. A more detailed scan of one of the many natural satellites orbiting the gas giant Yerem 3 has revealed a deposit of precious metals and minerals that was overlooked in an initial survey. Although the moon is very small, it has a stable orbit around it, around its primary, and appears tectonically stable. Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? Index. So I'm like, if you're doing a flight simulator, definitely that's something that people are trying to kind of capture realism with. And like every once in a while, yeah, Senior Q, we kind of went over this, right? I really don't like being told how to play the game, and there's a reason I'm not replying to this stuff. But it's really like that street goes both ways, reminding people of different ways of playing the game. I, as a player, get to make one option. And everybody who's watching this is going to think in their mind about how they would have done it differently, and every single person thinks they would have done it better. And just trust me. Okay? That's all I have to say. I, in fact, have covered some of this stuff. So making pirates pop up in their space requires me to arm privateers, and I need 60 influence for that. So once I get to the very, very top, I'm going to be able to do... Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and turn this into an opportunity to really explain my reasoning here. So what is the thing that's stopping me from being able to take their territory right now? What stops me from taking my superior force to go into Julau and claim this? Because like if I could have made this at the very start, if we were sitting right beside them when they declared war, I immediately would have run in here and taken this for myself. Because being able to claim it and then have that rebuilt means that I've got an even stronger base at which I can take them on. And they're starting off the war having lost territory. So the reason why I'm not doing this is because, for all I know, the more powerful ship... Oh god, I thought I just saw the ships there. For all I know, that really powerful fleet is just sitting in this system right here, waiting for me to make that move, and basically just come in and crush me. So the thing that helps me the most right now is to actually get an understanding of where their ships are. So in this case here, this means moving the espionage up to a point where I can start getting better intel on their military. Now the fact of the matter is that once I'm up to 65, that growth is going to stop, and so at that point I don't necessarily know what I don't really know where I am now. If I'm at 65, then and I see the enemy ships. One of the things that I can then do is make a calculated risk of taking Julau, and if we achieve that goal, then I can afford to arm the privateers, or sabotage the starbase, or what have you. And again, I was talking about sabotage, and again, arming the privateers is not something that's within our ability right now, but the infiltration level is. The infiltration level will be able to get where it needs to go there. So the thing is that if I just sit passively by, I can do a status quo, but I don't want a status quo. They have potentially made a blunder by starting this war. And so in the face of the resource constraints for the alloys, in the face of, being in a somewhat favorable position with Julau, as long as I'm able to get better information about where the enemy is right now, that will basically set up the next 2 or 3 layers to what I plan on doing inside of this war. Now, the one way that I'm guaranteed to never know what the enemy is doing is if I sabotage the starbase or arm the privateers right away. And so it's just a question of sitting. While I'm sitting, our ships are coming in. If I have to wait the 720 days, I'll wait the 720 days because we can upgrade it to a starhold. We can put a starbase in there. We can upgrade the ships. Time is on my side on this end. But sitting and waiting is not necessarily the best option. Like if you play a game like Total War, sitting down and waiting for the enemy to come to you, claiming that you're playing defensively, is a guaranteed way that you're going to lose, because what you're doing is you're allowing the enemy to dictate terms and hit you in your weakest points. For me, we haven't customized the ships because we don't know what they're packing. We don't even know what these defensive platforms are going to be carrying. We just know that there's 5 of them. But the more we let the intelligence move up, the better informed we're going to be, and we can kind of hit the enemy that way. So the thing is, though, I really do intend to put them on the back foot. Like I want to take away their strongest, their strongest positions. I want to take away what makes them feel secure, and then from there, the biggest thing is, though, that by taking this base, I need to take it and I need to hold it long enough to be able to get it repairing. Okay, anyway, shared knowledge. The recent Scientist Edition, Kanashk has put her knowledge of technology to good use. Her shared insights have pushed our physics research to new heights. Our research into technologies is further. Great.
Another bleeding-edge technology
Good
discovered.
Lord. So Defense Grid supercomputer aligning defensive and offensive weapon execution paradigms allows for increased efficiency. And this is huge. Okay, so now we can start messing them around with them as far as the those are some scary numbers. Yeah, so sensors that detect subspace fluctuations left in the wake of traveling starships, their sensitivity and range is greater than that of a gravitic sensor array. Let's go for... Oh, wait. No cheap tech yet. Okay, so we lose if they fight us, basically. So their combined strength between these two, they've got a 3311 and a 3324. So the best I can really hope for is just to harden this position, which we'll still be working on. Like, again, if they're not making their moves. But now with the gravitic sensor arrays, we've got a better idea about when and where they're going to make moves on us. And it's clear that they're not going to get hit by the Stellarite. Okay, so they are on the move. So are they. So they're almost certainly going to do a combined attack on us. I rather liked Troy and X-Men. I've actually only recently been getting into the Total War series. I found it really hard to get into them originally, but I'm starting to see the appeal. So yeah, it's very likely we're going to lose this. I suppose the other question would be, so how long does it take to build a defense platform? So it's 120 days to build another defense platform. It's like all this stuff on the margins is going to count. The one possibility is that they may not actually... So they might just make the move on us right away. Yeah, we're going to stay the course. Oh, no, they're turning around. No, changing their mind again. So if they go in waves, I'll be okay. The scary moment will be if they move to the Julau system and then just park there. Also, I think we just hit a milestone with our intelligence. Yeah, so at 60 it looks like we get some better information on their ship positions. I'm gonna guess here, while I would normally... Yeah. So it doesn't look like they're moving to the center of the system. It looks like they're actually going to try and engage us. So, big fingers crossed moment here.
Priming planet for settlement.
I think we're going to throw all of our cash into bolstering our military.
Resource scan complete. Evading hostiles.
Oh, no you don't.
Anomaly detected.
Initial analysis of the asteroid's composition points towards potentially interesting finds. Oh. Faction founded. A new faction has been recently gaining traction in the internal political landscape of the Natraxian Rum Runners. Led by scientists Raxuked, they call themselves the Raxar Supremacy Party. I'm actually going to move back a little bit so that they take the base on first.
Station under attack.
Okay. Fragments of life. It appears that the asteroid GRLF4 and the surrounding debris originate from a former planet. Deep within the center of the asteroid, we can find traces of extremely valuable alloys. There are also hints of bacterial life that has now died in the vacuum of space. This shows us that the celestial body once bore the promise of life.
Starbase lost. Starbase lost.
I'm assuming these are the defensive platforms where, yeah, we saw 2 defensive platforms go down. Okay, 2 defense platforms, but only a corvette and one of the frigates. On the other hand, though, they, like, in total... only lost 3 ships out of that. So we know we can't build the defensive platforms back, but we can keep pushing things in the on the home world. Shogun 2 was the last one that you played. I'm told that's a very good one. Started to play a lot of survival games with a few friends of yours. You've taken up most of your time for the last 10 years. So what are some of your favorite survival games and why? Because I've found I've got a very mixed track record with those. it would not be a bad idea for me to get a science ship in the area. So, question is, are they going to... No! They're running. Okay, so we know that their ships are going to... Okay, so here's the thing. Their big fleet is going to... gonna go and lick its wounds for a little while. So the thing is, if we think we can take this out within 2 jumps, we should do it. But man, 2 jumps. I'd feel a hell of a lot better if these guys could come in. You like Shogun? Yeah, I think the biggest problem was for me for such a long time with the Total War series. I kind of feel like I was playing with army men and like just kind of smashing them together without really any purpose, which is clearly like there's clearly quite a bit that goes into those games. So I realize that it's more complicated than that, but what I'm speaking to is really just my own kind of direct experience. We've got 3.9k, which we can bring to bear on a 2.8k target. 5 defense platforms to take out. I just don't think that's enough to take them out before the second battle group shows up. Because like they're clearly just sitting there waiting for the opportunity.
Resource scan complete.
The thing is though, like, if I'm gonna make the move, now's really the time. So the Nial system would take 158 days. The Julau system would take 74 days. So can I have this... The question really comes down to... Wait a minute, it's 3 systems away. Fuela's a little too... Okay, so let's say we wanted to go to Pandil. So that'd be 231 days. Hey, the exception. Okay, so here's the thing. I think we can probably take Julau before... we could probably take Julau before it... before the enemy shows up. I don't think we could hold it long enough, which is the same as not taking it. So we'll wait. It annoys me that I'm doing that, but... Should probably get that destroyer with the fleet as early as possible. Yeah, man, they're really bulking up.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
I gotta do something to get the momentum here. Because if it's just a question of like who can build ships faster, the answer is them. And I don't want to bank on them just sending people in, you know, one at a time to be what takes me home. How many Corvette or 5 destroyers? So I've already given up 1. So I've got a new one here. 2, 3. Okay. We'll save up for 2 more. Encounter in Adrenal. We've made first contact with mysterious aliens in the Adrenal system. For now, we have codenamed them Sigma aliens until we can find out more about them. If they possess a language, we could decipher it so that we can assess how much of a threat they pose. I don't know. This would actually be an interesting question for chat, who might be a little bit more versed in military history than me. Is it historically the case? Like, I know, sort of like momentum definitely seems to be something that's, that's kind of happened historically in terms of battles. Like, it really does sort of feel like somebody who sort of seizes the initiative, they're kind of able to keep pushing forward, and generally they're met with some success, and then, you'll kind of have that big turning point, and it sort of seems to be like the pendulum sort of swings the other way for a while. But is there a case where the winner of the first battle was the... Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I know obviously in MOBAs that's a big deal. A weak but insistent signal transmits on repeat from the BOI system. The ISS Irid Rock has pinpointed its source to emanating from within the mouth of a destabilized subspace rift at the system's edge. What could be on the other side? Perhaps we will find out. So if I get a third fleet, I can see myself making a move on the Julao system.
Another bleeding-edge technology discovered.
Advances in material technology and deep shaft mining techniques allow geoengineering at previously unthinkable depths and temperatures. Magma hotspots can now be exploited, suppressed, or even relocated. Well, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say with this is that, like, if it just says, like, whoever won the first battle won the war, you kind of have a coin toss on that, right? So, also, I'm not entirely sure that D-Day is the start of World War II, right? I think, if anything, the World War II experience would be the counter example to that, because Pearl Harbor would mark the American involvement, and it's effectively the Axis powers that seem to be not just doing the first strike but having the first successes. But yeah, no, the idea here is more just sort of a more systematic way of saying that getting the first battle creates conditions under which you have continued and again, like, I'm not closing off the possibility, because again, it does sort of feel like there's a momentum. Actually, there's a GMT board game series called Next War, which does a job of trying to sort of like create rules around this. So it's, I don't want to say that it's not something that can happen, but I guess where I was trying to go with it was to try and say that I would be a little more convinced by sort of a chain of reasoning that sort of says, okay, because, X happened and then Y happened. This is specifically why we can point to that first fight as sort of producing, and I mean, maybe it doesn't have to be about the whole war. Like, maybe it does have to be the first few extra engagements. But then, of course, you ask, well, is it the condition? Like, it's a hard one to try and disentangle, right? Because you say, well, if it's the favorable conditions of that first battle that led them to win, then the question is like, well, do those conditions still exist for their subsequent victories? Or is it something specifically about the fact that they won that, caused it to go ahead? No, I can read chat. Like I know that's what you said, but like I'm trying to get a little bit closer to why that sort of thing might be the case. Anyways, I'm just gonna stop talking about it because I think I'm gonna wind up frustrated. Encounter in Belazir. We have made first contact with mysterious aliens in the Belazir system. For now, we have codenamed them Upsilon aliens until we can find out more about them. If they possess a language, we should decipher it so that we can assess how much of a threat they pose. Okay. I suppose it was inevitable that we'd have a bunch of scientist deaths all at the same time. The problem is I have so many of them just running around doing whatever. It's hard to remember exactly what the plan was. We could not stop the rampaging drill before it was too late. It dug itself too deep and was eventually crushed under the weight of the rocky detritus of its own creation. So, oddly enough, I think that's the same amount of minerals that I would have gotten otherwise. So I guess it's not all bad. So the good news is that we'll have our better base ready to go. I'm a little unnerved by the fact that I can't see that other fleet.
Resource scan complete.
Oh, here's a question. This is probably the... No, that was the one. Our detailed survey of Kiftar 2 has revealed that it once may have supported life in the distant past. There are significant deposits of frozen water in the polar ice caps and beneath the planet's surface. The existence of valley networks suggests that water may once have flowed freely. Terraforming this planet would theoretically be possible, but we do not yet possess the technology to accomplish this monumental task within a realistic time frame.
Anomaly detected.
This barren and lifeless world is showing signs of once having supported a biosphere. So one thing I am kind of tempted to do is let the time pass, and then like just before we hit 100%, I do a big push on the Julao base.
Technology discovered. Rad.
I'm not sure where I want to put this one. Okay, cruisers are great, but that really does throw everything into disarray as far as plans, because those things are not cheap. Originally devised as an experimental next-generation colony ship hull configuration, the design's ample hardpoints make it ideal for carrying heavy weapons ordnance. Okay. You know what I should have done, and I was meaning to do this. I really wanted to take a look at... I really wanted to take a look at the results from that fight. I'm used to just throwing them away right away, but the There's actually some useful data there in terms of the types of weapons that they're using. Anyways, it's too late now. I think I wanted a second we got 2 now, 3, 4, yeah, so I need 1 more, and then also I need to get one of these corvettes. I don't think they're going to be willing to trade with us. Okay. What do they want for it? Man, 13 though? I mean, it's like another 50%. That's not nothing, but how many ships am I really going to build out of that? You know what? Here's the better way of doing this. Let's not make it monthly. Oh, they didn't want to give anything up. Okay. I'll be willing to go half. That still cuts pretty deep, but the Nar consciousness is processing your suggestion. I need to find a source of alloys that don't come from. I need to find a source of alloys that isn't from exploiting the market, because it's just too expensive at this point. At first glance, this planet does not seem capable of supporting living beings, but nevertheless we have detected life signs emanating from somewhere beneath its frozen surface. And what's going on with this science ship? A synaptic collaboration has evaluated your suggestion. We find it sound. Okay, 4K strength battle group. We don't have any cruisers. I suppose there's something there. So again, priority number 1 is going to be to build that shipyard. We'll be able to upgrade the existing fleet. Ocean beneath the ice. Deep scans of Jundis 5 have revealed a large ocean heated by hydrothermal vents beneath the ice mantle covering the surface. Lead scientist Drayden dispatched probes from the ISS Irid Sac that drilled through several miles of thick ice and found the water below teeming with what appears to be life. We will need more resources to conduct a thorough study of the many unique life forms inhabiting this ocean. And our detailed survey of BOY 2 has revealed that it may once have supported life in the distant past. There are significant deposits of frozen water at the polar ice caps and beneath the planet's surface. The existence of valley networks suggests that the water may once have flowed freely. Terraforming this planet would theoretically be possible, but we do not yet possess the technology to accomplish this monumental task within a realistic time frame. Yeah, we know you don't like it. Perhaps there are star nations in this galaxy that are even more worthless than the Neutraxan Rum Runners. If so, we have yet to meet them. There's a specific order in which I want to do this too. I think that's still not enough. I want to try and get at least one cruiser down. I might have made a boo-boo there.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
That 4K
Construction
fleet just
complete.
vanished. That doesn't make sense, though. They should be in sensor range. Either way, we should prepare for a fight. Okay, shipyard's priority number 1, and we don't have any resources for the rest yet. Nope. There will be more that I add, particularly along the lines of defense, but we've cleaned out the treasury, so we need to wait. I lost an envoy, but I think they just get reassigned to their... yeah. Okay. Oh, do I not yet have a, For some reason I thought I had a hangar bay. Okay, we'll go for the boom first. Let's do another gun battery.
Found some enemies.
Okay, well, that answers that. I'm assuming these two are going to combine? Oh wait, no, these are the guys we
Imagine
pounded.
the profit margins on this tech.
Okay, we've identified the existence of points in space where a ship expends less energy to, quote, breach their way into a hyperlane. This will lead to a new generation of hyperdrives. Let's go for the disruptor. I'm curious if they're just gonna go straight forward.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
So if I was gonna take Julao, well, God, it is really tempting to try and do it. This thing's only 2.9k strength, so. It's hard because if I'd been thinking, like just realizing how far away these guys are from home. Like we're evenly matched. Well, they have a slight advantage. Let's see where they go. I think the big question will be is once we upgrade the ships, how, like, what do my teeth look like? You can kind of tell that I don't really take fair fights all that often just because of how uncertain I am in terms of what the outcomes of certain fights are going to be. Okay. God, that's going to take forever. What? What's the point in having a... Oh, because it's not upgraded.
Prospect analyzed.
I'm really not sure how I feel about this, but oh god, it took me so long to acquire that asset. No, I think I'm going to stay put with the spy network. We don't really know what we're going to need yet. Okay.
Resource scan complete.
Alright, so these guys are moving back now.
Anomaly found. Hey,
Through hard work and experience,
Can we monetize
scientist
this?
Toldox has developed new skills. Backscattering spectrometry sensors indicate the presence of valuable substances beneath Magam 2A's noxious clouds. Sorry. Stumbling over my words again. Man, if they go back up here, the temptation to... Oh, Jesus, that's an ugly looking
prime
fleet.
for production.
Okay, let's think about something else for a while. So we're probably going to focus on growth for starters. And getting rid of the blockers isn't really an option anymore because the money is going to be used for other things. We are receiving a transmission from the independent space station of Zuracorp. They appear to have successfully translated our language. Welcome to Zuracorp. We are a business conglomerate operating out of the Kakonan system, specializing in trade, the very building blocks of civilization, as we like to say here at Zuracorp. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you're interested in making a good deal. Our environmental specialists are pleased to report that the terraforming process on Silura Prime has been completed. The planet has been successfully transformed into a Gaia world, owing to our deployment of laboratory-created plant hybrids containing carefully selected fragments of the Baal genetic code. Once again, as a result of the process, itself not quite fully understood by our geneticists, a number of new Baal population have appeared planet-side, emerging when terraforming neared completion. Excellent, more slaves. Should actually probably reorganize the... Yes, and I know I can be forgetful on things, but I did manage to get it on my own to do the bail. Can we maybe just say that if I want to know something, I'll say it? Actually, I guess I need 4 slots for that, so... These ship upgrades had better be worth it. Magam 2A is exceptionally rich in minerals. Minerals that are, unfortunately, of no use for us. However, Science Officer Tolox believes that many elements of the crust in Magam 2A can be transformed into potentially more useful forms through positron bombardment. The ISS Irid Rock has requests that the Nitrexium Run Runners set aside 100 energy credits for the purposes of the project. That's not that expensive for us. Okay, so I obviously screwed up here. So that's Control Shift to Control Shift to put that to the top of the queue, and then we'll research Magum 2. Sorry, I know the engagement isn't as strong as it should be, but I'm still really scared of the AI. Man, this really is the time. Like, this is the time I want to take Julao. We're upgrading. I should be good. Knowing the right people in the right places can make a world of difference. Influential merchant contracts will let us buy from resource markets at favorable rates. So that's also going to help me on the... or actually, that's a good question. So it's just the internal market, so I don't think that's going to affect us on our own. Oh no, yeah, that's still there. Obviously, we needed that a lot sooner, but...
Debris analyzed. Now let's make some more.
I really like that line. Okay, yeah, no, I'm going to be good, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to upgrade my ships before I do any fighting. If they come and try and beat me up, I'll feel very good, but... Okay.
Research complete.
The crew of the ISS Irid Rock are pleased to report that the experiment was a success and a significant number of dense
Planetary
mineral veins on
exploitation
Magum 2A
forecast
have been
complete.
transmuted into usable resources. Not that I'm ever going to show up there.
Boom. We built something.
Okay, so that's just continuing on with the, that's the gun battery. Yeah, it'd be nice if I had something like a oh, we already have a comms jammer. Disruption field jet. Oh, actually, this is just a question of alloys. So possibly next turn, but it might also get eaten up by a ship upgrade. Okay. So disruption helps me out by killing enemy defenses. Of course, they may have one on this base, so... God, the temptation to just go take Julao is so high. It's just because they're so far away from it with their strongest fleets. The best thing that could happen would be if these guys want revenge. Oh, you know what? Non-aggression pact, I can work with. In the interest of securing free trade in our joint sector, Nextrarian rum runners would like to propose a non-aggression treaty. Now, this scares the hell out of me. So I'd basically have to put everything into this defense. Okay. We cannot see what either of us would stand to win from a war. We agree to enter into a pact of non-aggression. Okay, so they're sort of on patrol. Incidentally, if I were to go after Julao, this would be the time I would want to do, or just slightly after the time when they like here. So they'd be tied up in the warp, and this would be the time that we make the move. But again, patience.
Anomaly found. Hey, can we monetize this?
Holy crap, we're doing a lot for food. Massive storms are visible in the upper atmosphere of this gas giant. It might be worth the effort to study them in more detail. Well, these numbers are looking good. I'm playing a criminal enterprise, the exception. First time I've ever done it. We had a very strong neighbor who doesn't like me, so This could turn out really well, or this could be an absolute tragedy. God, these guys are taking their time. Okay, so I just need to make a quiet pact with myself. No invading Julao until...
Research complete.
What's the deal here? So the Vengral... Oh, it's because I don't have any basic jobs anymore. So does Stilllock? Yes, Stilllock does have jobs for workers, so... Okay, lead scientist Drayden has returned from the expedition that studied the rich biosphere in the seas beneath the ice mantle of Jundius 5. Our underwater probes have mapped the terrain and cataloged most of the life forms. Although this data may be of some use for our biologists, no particular discoveries have been made that would have any applications beyond that. Yeah, so what we've done right now, like the reason why there's a war happening is because we've built a bunch of criminal enterprises on their worlds. So on their capital, let me just see if I can bring it up here. Through hard work and experience, scientist Tydralek has developed new skills. So we'll just wait for a second here. So if we take a look at their planet, they're currently at 100% crime in their capital because of our concealed drug labs and illicit research labs. So, yeah, we're having a good time. Invisible Death. Our scientists have returned from the Zvan labs unscathed with footage collected from the facility's security cameras. It shows lab scientists bound and gagged as guerrilla soldiers pry open the weapon strongbox, but to their dismay, the box is empty. Only minutes later, the rebels are seen writhing on the floor in intense agony, dark patches swelling across their bodies, and then their skin rips and a gray, unidentifiable matter spills out. The matter continues to expand, swirling hypnotically around them, until one of the scientists activates the emergency system. Sprinklers douse the room in liquid, and an electrical surge passes through it, executing all living beings. Here the footage ends. Our crew can confirm that the strongbox was indeed empty. Spooky. Our excursion to the Zvan labs has progressed our engineering research, and we've gained super solid materials and 30% progress to it. So my question with my government is why my government would have laws that criminalize its own actions. Do we know that the laws criminalize my actions, though? I don't think that's settled, because, like, obviously, so you can watch any mob movie, and that there's going to be a set of rules that you need to follow, or that the criminals need to follow. So, you know, much the same way that slavery will be legal in some empires but not other ones. I'm not entirely sure that like crime is uniform in this game. It does count as crime. I know it's deviancy if it's a hive mind, but maybe I'm misunderstanding. It's really tempting to try and upgrade these defense platforms, but I don't think that's the right call here. As the crew returning from the Zvan labs were decontaminated, we identified an alien substance on their protective wear. Upon closer examination, it is proven to be fragments of microscopic robots turned into a fine gray dust. Among the samples we found on an intact nanite carrying instructions for attaching bolts to a structure we believe could be a gateway. This molecular construct may have had an integral part in assembling the entire L-Gate network. Well, I mean, there's definitely the concept of like a narco state, which I think would not be an unfair description of, well, potential, you know, of what we're running. I mean, I guess in our case here, it's not so much a narco state as it is just the government itself. So it's maybe not like fully penetrated so much as it just is. But like, yeah, I mean, there's certainly like any organization, there's going to be rules that are shaping behavior inside of it. Like if you cross the boss, the penalties will be very severe. But I think that's as close to a crime as you can get. Clearly, stealing from the Enterprise is going to be frowned upon. Like, as the crew, oh, sorry, we got that. So, L-Gate insights gathered. We have now gathered sufficient L-Gate insights to research the technology behind them. Once this has been done, our science ships should be able to abort the perpetual maintenance cycle that they are stuck in. The L cluster is almost within our reach. We are nowhere near a state where we can handle the negative version. I mean, there's positive versions of that. For a while, I only ever had good things happen when the L gates opened. But for now, I don't think I'm ready to see what's on the other side of that. This is the one that scares me the most. Oh god, they're both...
Construction
what the
complete.
hell? Oh god. I have no idea. I have no idea how they got so strong all of a sudden. The last signal received from the ISS Irid Gra was not much more than garbled static. They had been studying the strange localized storms on Gul 5 and were sending back incredible preliminary reports. The Tempest reacted to the probes being sent in, creating vacuum packets to avoid them, and then slowly sweeping back in towards the drones. The ISS Irid Gra was planning on testing out numerous scanning frequencies at the storm before we lost contact. The science ship seems to have sunken into the gas giant and appears to be dormant. So we can free the ISS Irid Gra, or wait, Gul 5 is even more interesting now. I mean, cool, but we're nowhere near.
Log updated.
Okay. 2 science ships. Oh, it's because, yeah. Fair. Oh no, they really want to. Okay. Antimatter missiles. Advanced missiles equipped with very powerful antimatter warheads. A new and improved guidance system gives them a better chance of finding their targets. Let's keep going for the boom. So I'm kind of lucky that they just haven't been using their Navy. I don't know though, like 9% is not that big of an advantage that I want to be banking on. Yeah, especially when they're moving in concert. Oh, this might get ugly.
Prospect analyzed.
Sensors pick up unusual readings in the vicinity of the Letherian vortex, readings that are hard to explain being this close to a black hole. The one other thing I can try and do is dump a bunch of cash in and try and build some defensive platforms. I think that kills any upgrade plans, though. Oh, I can't even afford the one. Yeah, it definitely looks like they're committed this time. So we're about 2,000 below where they are. We will have the advantage of the communications disruption and the... so 20% reduction to shields, reduction to sublight speed, and a reduction to combat disengagement. Well, there's just no hangars in the as an option. But again, like we've had these big fleets sitting around before. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to hit us with everything they've got. We just need to prep for that possibility, though. Just getting a bit of a reserve in case I feel a need.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Okay, so yeah, 2 of them are moving. I'm pretty sure this is going to be their effort to try and take us out. So we're going to employ the same strategy again here. Once they show up into the system, I'm actually going to pull the fleets back. And that's just so that I can... it's basically so that they can focus on the starbase, which might fall relatively... like it'll fall a bit quicker, but it's going to mean that we get to sort of thin out their numbers with the fully intact fleets. Yeah, they're committed. So again, we'll let time go by. The more we upgrade our ships, the stronger we're going to be for this fight. There's a question as to whether or not... You know what, let's give it a shot. If we can get another defensive platform up, so much the better. 120 is a bit optimistic given the distance. I probably should have made that decision earlier. Okay, and they're turning around.
Boom! I found something!
This barren and lifeless world is showing signs of once having supported a biosphere. So I think it's fair to say that time is not necessarily on my side here. It does seem like their ability to produce additional ships is a big deal. A detailed survey of OVNI 5 has revealed that it may once have supported life in the distant past. There's significant deposits of frozen water at the polar ice caps and beneath the planet's surface. The existence of valley networks suggests that water may once have flowed freely. Terraforming this planet would theoretically be possible, but we do not yet possess the technology to accomplish this monumental task within a realistic time frame. Peddling radiation. The readings picked up in this system comes, somewhat surprisingly, from the Letherian vortex itself. As black holes go, it is fairly small, which could account for some of the unexpected radiation leaking from its event horizon. Science Officer Tolox believes that the black hole is on its way to bleeding out and will eventually disappear entirely, though it is difficult to say whether this process would complete before the heat death of the universe. Some gravitational upset in the hole's youth has rendered it, to quote Tolox, wobbly, further increasing the flow of energy from its event horizon. I can already imagine the stories of this war. It'd be so cool if you could make monuments in places of important battles, like it provides a temporary boost to different kinds of productions. I mean, I'm kind of curious. I know the modding support is reasonably strong. I don't know if you can do something that specifically ties to an event. Like, because if you think about it, there's already a science... So, like, if you destroy an enemy fleet that is more technologically advanced than you, it does leave a marker that a science ship could, can then work on. So as far as infrastructure is concerned, the game has the ability to sort of mark a particular location and interact with it. So I suppose one way you could maybe get around it would be if you were to add some kind of scientific event or something that sort of hooks into the act of researching, that then gives a bonus. The challenge, of course, is that not necessarily every location is going to be within your territory, and I'm sure there's probably some ways that, like obviously the story that you have in mind about that particular battle might be different from the bonus that you actually get. I don't know how many of you fight the Leviathans, but you do actually get a trophy for at least one of them. All right. We've made first contact with mysterious aliens in the Occident system. For now, we have codenamed them the Phi aliens until we can find out more about them. If they possess a language, we should decipher it so that we can assess how much of a threat they pose. Alright, I don't get it. Why am I not allowed to research the... Okay, so they basically just sent the ships to scare the hell out of me, and then they went back. You modded this game the past weekend, although it was more of a Hello World type thing. No, that's an accomplishment on its own, the exception, because I did make an effort to try and mod the game, and I found that the original modding guide has changed. Like, it doesn't really apply to the way that the game works anymore. So even being able to do Hello World means that you've been able to sort of master the material well enough that you've been able to sort of work on work on something that matters to you. And that's,
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
to me at least, like, I could say to a certain extent, like, I think anybody who makes an effort to just, like, do something, like, even just to dip their toe in and see if it's the sort of thing that they'd be interested in, that's pretty praiseworthy. But given the fact that I've actually gone in and specifically tried to mod Stellaris before, I actually do think it's something worth mentioning, simply because I know that it's no longer just a simple matter of, like, read this blog and you have an idea of how everything works. Like, there is actually some effort that you need to exercise to understand what's going on. And I know, like, the wiki has a few resources to help out, and, taking a look at what other people have done with the game is certainly a very good way to learn, but I definitely think that's something you should take a little bit of a bow on, just because it's definitely some, like, I guess here's the thing, right? Like, everybody's kind of got a game that they want to make, or like a story that they want to write, or, there's just so many examples of this. And I don't want to make this, like, there's definitely the self-helpish kind of way of talking about this, where it's like everybody's got a book within them. And, like, the fact of the matter is that it's also true that sometimes for people, and that's exactly where that book should stay, right? Like, just because you really want to do something doesn't necessarily mean that you have any talent or anything that is, like, worth listening to. And that's obviously not what I'm trying to say about your efforts or anyone here specifically. But, like, the thing is that, like, sometimes there is a question of just sitting down and saying, like, do you really value this thing? Or is it that this thing is popular right now and what you're actually pursuing is fame? And maybe there's another way that you can become famous, or maybe fame isn't necessarily the best goal that you're looking for. But the thing is that, and I've definitely found this for the gaming stuff, it's really easy to get excited by ideas, but it really feels like gaming. And whether that's making a mod or whether that's trying to do a game yourself, like, even if you're getting something like Godot or Unity or the Unreal Engine, like, there's definitely lots of very high quality free options available. But everything that you do is hard, right? Like, even, like, I'll give you a great example here. Like, there was something that I was trying to do in a game jam, and it was an idea. It's actually an idea for a game that every time I've told a game designer that idea, they're always like, oh, that's a really good idea. Like, I've never told that to someone and not had them get excited about that idea. You wanted money. Now when you got that, you want more of it. Yes. Wasn't it, it's like Rockefeller, I think, answered the question, is like, well, how much money does a man need? And the answer was, just a little more. I think that was a quote from him. I think he also said something along the lines of, like, the only thing that made him happy was seeing his dividends come in. So maybe he's not the best model. But yeah, like, the thing is that the thing that kept that from becoming a finished project in a game jam as opposed to an idea. And again, like, this was an idea that I liked. It's an idea that I have now gotten this external validation from people who actually work in game and, like, work on stuff that you will have heard of, and I'm like 80% sure most of you will like, or at the very least you would be like, yeah, I wish I had the rights to that thing that they've worked on. But despite all of that, trying to mess around with some of the UI stuff, like to actually deal with the interactivity component, that took hours. And it actually, I ran out of time on the game jam. I'd never wound up returning to it. I maybe should, but if I were to do a game thing, like, I've got other stuff that I want to do. But the reason why I'm going on this big long tangent is that, like, even a mod is not trivial. Like, I remember I have a really clear idea for a Stellaris mod that I want to do, and, like, I read the blog, and then, I sketched out some ideas in terms of how I thought I could sort of do, like, just this minimal viable event, essentially, to just sort of indicate that some of the things that I wanted to do were in fact possible. And then I actually went in and I was like, okay, maybe I can try this thing, and then it didn't work, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll try this thing instead, and then I go through, and then I eventually just realized that none of the stuff that was true about modding Stellaris, even in terms of just adding an event, was true anymore. And I did eventually get an event that popped up, but then it was like, man, I've now gone to a point where I realized that like every single idea that I had would actually involve me going into the files and figuring out how it went. And then, you know, the question is like, well, do I give up streaming time for that? That doesn't seem right. Do I give up like the time to do the econ stuff? Well, no, absolutely not, because I'm already struggling to find the time for that as it is. And so again, like this is now 2 ideas that I'm really excited about that I've had to sit on, because, you know, when it comes to gaming stuff, like there's no easy options for it. Everything just feels really hard, and it's one of the reasons why I think people should be encouraged on that sort of stuff. And I always feel a little bad when people sort of, I don't want to say run themselves down, but like I definitely don't want the fact that we've kind of had this sense of modesty sort of to be forced on us. Like, this is the thing, right? Like, nobody, and rightly so, like nobody likes it when somebody like walks in and is like, yeah, I kick ass and I want everybody to know it, right? Nobody likes the arrogant. But I also think there is a tendency now where, because the internet is really awful, we have a tendency to just sort of, you know, undersell what we're doing. Or like, you know, and it takes lots of different forms, right? Like some people resort to snark, some people, you know, want to, you know, try not to communicate too much, you know, they're too cool for the issue. You know, they might say, oh, well, you know, it's just a little something over here, because that kind of that puts up the shield, you know, you're not putting too much of yourself out there. But no, like the stuff that means something to me, the stuff that I really care about, is definitely where people swung for the fences and did something interesting. And sometimes there's that stuff and it doesn't work for me, but that doesn't mean that there isn't somebody else out there for it. So that's why I'm taking all the time to sing your praises here. The exception. So took you forever to get it to work. Your current goal is to see if you can make the tooltip for hovering over fleets sum up the fleet power for each faction. Oh, that's a really helpful one, actually. And a really lofty long-term goal is to adapt the new Dragon Origin to Machine Empires with a different story and retexture. Oh wow, that's the other one that's an interesting one, is it's cross-disciplinary. So like obviously for me, like if I can just mess around with a script, or if I can, you know, like that's maybe the 2 lines that I could say is that on a good day I might be able to put some interesting words together. And I'm probably a bit safer when I'm messing around with like numbers. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely crossing over a few different disciplines there. Are you going to be doing all of it yourself, or do you know some people who can do some art for you? And Index Gnomes here says, I find modding to be harder than making your own thing. Documentation is often very bad, even on games that are seen as mod friendly. Oh yes. Well, this is the thing, right? Like Stellaris had dedicated blogs to the idea of modding, but they don't hold for the game anymore. And I guess, I mean, the modding community's kind of stood up and, you know, they've done sort of their own guidance, I think, in terms of the wiki and such. But no, like I get really cranky when stuff is not documented well. But yeah, the other thing for me, like this is going to sound super selfish, but I do think it's worth reflecting on, and I'll get back to the game after this. I just need to I actually need a little bit of a break for myself, because for the past probably 30 minutes, like I've had a really, really sharp pain in my stomach, and it's really uncomfortable. It has been uncomfortable, but I'm trying to be a good soldier and do a full stream, and but this is a nice little chance for me to just like take a bit of a break and get my strength back. But yeah, like one of the other things for me too is that because I now, like again, so now I try not to talk about stuff that I haven't made, because it just leads to disappointment. But now that you all know that I've been and by the way, I actually have more than one like game idea, but like now that you know that I'm sitting on a game idea which professionals have said I love that idea, modding becomes quite challenging for me, even in the sense of like the new Battlefield Portal, because the next challenge that I run into is I sometimes sit to myself and say, like, why should I be increasing the value of somebody else's property when I could be building something for myself, right? That's a shame, because of course there's so many great mods, and my gaming life has been enhanced by the existence of mods. Some of my favorite games I've started as mods. Counter-Strike, Dota are two famous examples. Team Fortress 2. Obviously Team Fortress 2 wasn't a mod, but yeah, if those people thought the way I thought, they, there wouldn't be anything for me to have played and enjoyed. But with that in mind, like, obviously I'm thinking a lot more about my own stuff. Okay, sorry, I was going to start the war again, but I actually am going to take a minute away from the keyboard. I haven't done a break yet anyway, so but this is going to be one of these nice times where I could try and say this is all about your health and take care of yourselves, but the truth is I hate you all and I love money. No, I am going to run ads for a little bit. If nothing else, it'll disable the pre-roll for a little while. I'm going to try and make it short, like just a minute or two, but I think I'm actually just going to like maybe have a proper stretch, and I don't know, like I'm just going to try and shake the cobwebs out, try and find out what's making me feel bad. I will come back. We are going to do a full run tonight, but if nothing else, I just need a minute to like scream into a pillow and then feel better about myself and then come back. So sorry about this. I will be back hopefully within the minute, and please don't watch the ads. Either get an ad blocker or just walk away from the keys and like get a glass of water or something. I'll see you all in a little bit. Thank you, Senior Q. And I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. I don't know what the deal is. I will definitely, if something serious is happening, I will let you all know. In this case, it's just a question of discomfort. So I'm not feeling 100%, but I've got my time. I wanted to try and talk it out. Let's just hit the unpause button, and I've got less than an hour left anyway, so I should be able to make it. But I do apologize if the energy's been down, or I've been crabbier than usual, because it's not fun. Don't know how old you are. You're barely 20. You've already got blood pressure meds. Got to take them twice a day. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah, I actually had a nasty... So here's the thing. Like, I know very little about health stuff. So I had applied to the military.
Research complete.
Whoa. After months of work, our scientists finally managed to alternate ISS Irid Gras shields in such a way that the Gol 5 Tempest released its grip from the marooned ship. Communications with Farglek was quickly re-established, and incredibly, none aboard the ISS Irid Gras seemed to remember their time trapped inside the storm. Cool. Okay. But yeah, so I do have a heart condition as a kid, but it wasn't
found. Hey, can we monetize this?
It wasn't a it wasn't like a major thing, but it's like we want to check this out, like go see a cardiologist about it, and so on and so forth. Now, I love coffee, and it was kind of late to the appointment, so effectively what I did was, like, on my way, grabbed like a grande Starbucks, basically like run up a hill to the is that compulsory? I know you're in I think you said Finland, right? So I think, do they have compulsory service there, or was that volunteer? Anyways, well done. If that was volunteer, well, even compulsory. I mean, obviously you can phone it in, or I guess you can't phone it in, but like obviously there's varying degrees. But yeah, so long story short, like, I kind of run to this cardiologist, and I, of course, am doing every single thing that can spike my blood pressure. So the guy, like, takes one reading, diagnoses me with high blood pressure, and prescribes me a medication. And I'd actually I got a call from, and it was like, this kind of surprised me because it was actually a walk-in clinic that gave me the referral. I got a call the next day, and they said, like, did this guy like assign you whatever the thing's name was? Like, yeah. It's like, don't take it. I have measured your blood pressure. You do not have high blood pressure. So as far as I can tell, this guy, Norway. Okay, God, it was compulsory. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not so well versed in the militaries of the world that I know which ones have your have a short run. I mean, Israel's a fascinating example, just because of the number of businesses that have been produced essentially out of people's military services. Obviously, Israel also has quite a number of things that make it a fairly unique case in terms of military service, but yeah. Anyways, so far as I can tell, this guy was just trying to, give out pills, but that was enough to sink my application, which sucked, especially because I told so the deal is I kind of said to the recruiter, said, okay, so here's the deal. This is what the doctor told me. I shouldn't be taking it. I will happily go and get another assessment, because it's very clear that this one, there's something else going on this one. And then, like, I had a nurse friend who said, "Is like, yeah, no, you cannot do that kind of a diagnosis based on a single reading." But yeah, long story short, the recruiter completely lied. That was sufficient to spike the application, and for seemingly no reason other than some guy had a quota to meet or something. Very frustrating. But anyways, where I wanted to go with this Senior Q was just, so far as I can tell, beyond that really annoying story, I don't have that issue, but like you said, right? There's tons of stuff that will push someone down. Like my heart condition is basically just a heart murmur. So, and the way around that for me is just exercise, which I'm not very good at, but I try to keep on top, try and keep on top of it. But in the end, people are. It sucks to feel limited about stuff, and then especially, I had a friend who, they had actually just kind of a suite of conditions, and they're really. I was amazed at how upbeat they were, but I don't know. Like if I was in it, I'd be complaining constantly. I definitely feel quite crabby about sort of the all the stuff that I wanted to do and then suddenly couldn't for X, Y, or Z reason. Strong energy emissions of an unknown origin make this asteroid stand out from the rest of its peers in a crowded asteroid field.
Technology acquired.
I just assigned a whole bunch of exploration and then... let's get them to work on these. Okay, Disruptor. Disruptors fire high-energy bolts that weaken and destroy the molecular bonds that hold together a target's constituent atoms. They are capable of passing through shields and armor to wreak havoc directly on an enemy hull and crew. So we're going to go from a big raft of upgrades to another set of upgrades. Let's do the plasma thrower again. We're in the middle of a war. We should probably get the best tech that we can. Oh, that's really interesting, Index Gnome. In Canada, we're dealing... So Canada's had this really unfortunate... and I realize that this is kind of a worldwide problem. Oh, God, yeah. YouTube's making me think of... But basically, in Canada, we've got an epidemic of sexual assault that's happening in the armed forces. And worse... a number of the people who've sort of been in charge of fixing stuff have later been removed because of cases against them. So you could not possibly ask for a worse set of circumstances. But one of the things that's been coming up has been I know in the States the problem is that these are still investigated internally, whereas I know in Canada now we have just instituted the change that these will be tried in civilian, or not just tried in civilian, but I also believe will be investigated with the civilian force now, which was recently, I believe that's a recent change, but I believe the standard for the world now. But anyways, as a result of this, I've actually been learning quite a bit more about military police. Unexpectedly, but apparently your job is or your old job is like the one that I might have a fighting chance of knowing partially what happens. All right, weapons target range. Asteroid 219536367 is pockmarked with craters from weapon blasts and appears to have been used as a target range by someone roughly 2 millennia ago. Residual energy readings suggest that they tested increasingly exotic weaponry, including subspace bombs and some kind of singularity generator. Our scientists would be interested in studying the unusual energy echoes that remain. So I think Dolok's getting pretty crowded. Just one more clerk and then we're we're done. But we have a couple of planets that we can work with. I would clearly have been building more habitats if I could, but we're certainly not in any state to. We're not in any state to.
We really push the envelope on these ships.
To give up the. Sorry, we're not in any state to give up the. Words. We're not in any state to give up the alloys required. So it's a cruiser. Try and build another one when I can. How far off are we on these upgrades?
Resource scan complete.
Looks like they're getting serious again.
Upgraded. We've got to shake those hostiles.
Okay, so the Nar just
Ships upgraded.
Nar just kind of locked us in, which is fine. Like we weren't really going to. We're never really going to. We're never practically going to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we were ever gonna push our way out. If we can get Star Mag, that'd be great. But okay, looking good ships wise. Actually, some more of these alloys are gonna they're gonna become available for.
This tech had better generate some revenue.
Okay, this is good for. Sorry, I need to finish a complete sentence. So this will be good for my Empire Sprawl. We can finally start paying back some of the penalties. I'm trying to think of the best way to get the alloys for another cruiser. It'd be nice if I could get. I guess I really only have room for. Well, I guess it depends how you look at it. Ideally, I'd build 3 more. All right, multiple administrative strata efficiently surface. Multiple administrative strata efficiently surface only the most vital information to the upper levels of government. Ceramic metal infrastructure is kind of tempting here for the extra building slot. Especially given the fact that all these habitats are kind of bursting at the seams. But I am going to do Doctrine Space Combat. I can't remember what I was... Oh yeah, Fortress. Or Stronghold. One thing I might do too with Siluria is if I'm really going to be generating this much food on that world, I may convert some of the food buildings on these different stations. Again, something to think about later. Sorry, I just need to step away from the keys for 1 more minute. I apologize. I'll try and make this shorter. Okay, sorry about that. So Index Gnome shares a story. You had one officer that complained to the battalion chief after you asked for his ID for the 4th day in a row. After that, he got called into the security officer's office and was told to shut up and just do as you're told by the MP. You had your own chain of command, of course, but the random officer was just that. Reason for asking for IDs, etc., is that you may not know if some random officer got his credentials revoked over the night. So you did spot checks even inside military ground. Well, the stakes are considerably less in my own workplace, but this is actually something... Does anyone know what system stock mean? You have this growing number. Oh, actually, Senior Q, I'm glad you asked because I don't get a chance. So, on Twitch there is a basically there's a points system now. They're channel points, and because I like silly names for things, I decided to call it system stock, even though nobody actually takes stock to the store and buys anything with it. So I'm actually going to bring up chat for myself. So basically, if you click on that, there's a few different things that happen. So if you are subscribed to a channel, you gain them at a higher rate. If you just watch the channel, though, it will go up at a certain rate. And right now I'm using a set of default, options. So for instance... You can highlight a message like that. That costs 100 channel points. You can unlock sub-emotes doing that. So that's one thing I actually quite like about the system, because it means that people who watch the channel a lot are still able to participate with the emotes for the channel. But one thing I really like is that you can also modify emotes. So personally, I think the Eyes of Sins... System 1 HMM. This was not intentionally done this way, but hey, Instant Respawn, thank you for sharing the Machiavelli emote, the System 1 Smart. But yeah, the thing I love is that the sunglasses actually work really well with the System 1 HMM emote. So basically, that's what you can do. I believe I'm allowed to change these, and I'm able to change like the values and all of that, but I haven't really gotten around to messing around with that. I think if I do a poll as well, so I've put in, I'm going to turn off the bits per vote. We'll do a 5-minute poll here. And everybody can vote in it once, but if you would like your channel points to go for your preferred option, yeah, you can get more than one vote. But yeah, so that's what System Stock does. ID checks are important in all larger organizations, not just the military world. Sadly, people don't understand. Yeah. No, and that's just it. The trick that I actually have here is that IDs don't matter as much to us because we're all work from home right now. But I really love that is actually one of my ideal examples for like
anomaly found.
There's
Can we monetize this?
There's a lot of plumbing stuff that we need to do, and it's a sort of stuff that people think that they're too important to do in a lot of cases, or it's it's boring so people don't want to do it, or any number of a reason why. It's like why do I need to do that? It's because it's it's important and it does matter. If you're gonna I always like to think of it as like, imagine you're so you're a data person. Like, imagine you're responsible for being the one to come out with the inflation number. And the inflation number is going to be the thing that can move markets. So, is it boring to double check that the two numbers make sense? Yes. Is it important that you double check that the numbers make sense? Yes. The reason why I bring that up is that in Canada, we've actually had that problem. That there was, I think, an analysis of the census that was done that showed this catastrophic fall in the number of French speakers in Quebec. And it was the result of a very simple coding error. I think somebody had changed like the coding number for it. And, you know, I'm sure somebody just got used to like automatically running a program or whatever. And it's like, do you need to double check the results? Yeah, you do. But I don't know. I just really want to get to my next episode of whatever. And they didn't. And sure enough, you know, the statistical agency looks very foolish for not being able to analyze its own data. So I realize like ID card, it's different in terms of ID cards, but I always just think that there is this, like, when you have a procedure in place, it definitely helps to question why you do certain things. There's always room for improvement. Like if you're doing something out of just a sense of ritual, that's probably not very helpful. But, you know, generally, I just think it's like, if like, this is one thing, if I run into documentation and it says like, look at the output, I look at the output. And it's sometimes really hard to resist that urge. But I've noticed, the reason I bring this up and why I'm spending some time talking about it is that I spent the last couple of months revising a process for something. And sure enough, 8 different occasions, there was something that somebody took for granted in that process. And when I actually bothered to confront it with the underlying data, it turns out that assumption was not correct. And that there had in fact been several quarters of this thing that had been produced. And I guess just one of these internal things that just gets kicked upstairs to another group and they sort of rely on it as an input. So whether or not like there's some massive problem that got created by it, I probably won't even know. But like, again, it's just a matter of like, do the work. If somebody tells you do X, it might be inconvenient, but do X. And if you don't want to do X, if you don't think doing X is a good idea, like just give your argument, explain why it needs to, you know, it needs to be done differently. Look at the money coming in for the capital, nearly 100 credits. Yes, it's one of the reasons why I don't want to lose this war, because I'm going to have to pay them 1,000 credits for each of these criminal outposts. All right, an object that reflects our sensors has been located in the Gaul asteroid field near 9192619. Visual observation has identified the object as polygonal in shape, but due to the lack of scanner data, little else is known. Oh, that's looking kind of great. I mean, they did turn around in the last minute before, but it's probably a little too late to hope for it now, but we'll add another defense platform to the stack. All right, looks like EA won the poll.
Ship status cutting edge.
On base you served, they had a situation a few years before you where the guards had let a fired officer into the base even though his ID had been cut. You just recognized him after years of service. He got in and even picked up a weapon and left the base with it. Jesus. That's terrible. The director of the Museum of Exobiology on Kerox's private stash has issued a request for the procurement of several live alien specimens. These creatures were spotted on surveyed habitable worlds, but they are difficult to capture. It will require the full resources of a science ship for a lengthy period of time. We will gather these specimens. I'm pretty sure they're serious this time. So the really scary part here is that basically if I combine my 2 navies, I can take on one of them. I guess the 4K is kind of nice. But yeah, we're definitely on the back foot as far as this fight's concerned. The ISS Irid-Fick crew has recovered the reflective polygonal object near 9192619, bringing it on board for detailed study. The object's most intriguing quality is its ability to reflect most types of low-frequency energy beams directed towards it. High-frequency energy beams, however, remain unaffected, making the object's properties useless with regards to any potential fleet defense applications. Despite extensive examination, the ISS Irid-Fick research team has been unable to determine the function or origin of this particular polygon. It appears to be hollow, but its metalloid surface is engraved with some kind of scientific notation. Though the full meaning of this codified data eludes us, Rukagikex believes it relates to wormhole metrics. Our research team was able to glean some fascinating insights into wormhole theory by studying these notations. Whatever purpose this object was created for, however, is still a mystery. We've now gathered sufficient L-Gate insights to research the technology behind them. Once this has been done, one of our science ships should be able to abort the perpetual maintenance cycle that they're stuck in. Again, not something I want to do right now. I am, however, going to take an absolute Hail Mary. Let's try and build a Corvette. So much money being wasted. It's only 48 days, so... Sorry, for some reason I thought they were already in Julao. How are we for nanites, incidentally? Yeah, I don't think I want to spend it quite yet. Yeah, they look pretty annoyed. Through hard-working experience, scientist Farglek has developed new skills.
I found something.
1337-1000 has been partially hollowed out and carved with exquisite precision. There is something familiar about the lines and curves etched into this rock. I'm just thinking maybe I could take a bunch of construction ships and throw them in front, but I don't think they'll last long enough to make it worth it. Oh, Jesus, they do have a cruiser. Okay. Yeah, they want a real fight this time. So I probably should have upgraded... Well, let's see how fast... Okay, so one of them's...
Ship status cutting edge. Boom! I found something.
While scanning the asteroid belt, our science team found some sort of irregularity. At this point, I think I'm just going to try and build as many little ships as I can in between now and the moment. Are they just going to try and sneak around the... Oh, God. It occurred to me, we don't have any subspace inhibitors. So I suspect they're probably just going to try and move around the starbase. Sensors pick up unexpected activity from an isolated point on Gall 4's frozen surface. Yeah, I just don't have any army transports because we're... The aim was defensive. So the question is, when do I try and intercept them? Because I think there is a point where we actually wind up pulling them into the defensive structure. If I let them just run through my space, I'm done for.
Hostile fleet's getting what's coming to them.
Cool. These guys aren't participating, apparently. Oh, now they are. This is going to turn out really badly for me. By what has to be beyond astronomical odds, the ISS Irid-Sak actually managed to pinpoint the source of the odd signals as it soared past through the asteroid belt. A tiny alien construct, a simple scan reveals that... is some sort of ritualistic container holding the remains of an alien spacefarer. Open the coffin and study the corpse. Yeah, we're toast. They're not focusing on the target that they should have anymore, and the base. So I thought that they would be driving towards the base. Oh, this is bad and unusually.
Hey, can we monetize this?
The material composition of this asteroid differs significantly from its neighbors. It is likely a different origin than that of other bodies in the asteroid belt and should be investigated more closely. The Exile. The readings originate from a small research outpost, which the Nectraxian rum runners have no records of establishing or indeed authorizing on the surface of Gol 4. It is staffed by one Rexarian scientist, a fairly talented and industrious one, if the research on Gol 4 is anything to go by. There's a problem with regards to their identity, however. We have been unable to match them against official state records, and they refuse to identify themselves save for stating that they are in exile. They have expressed an interest in returning to Kirox's private stash and serving the Netraxian rum runners directly on the condition that the ISS Irid-Fik immediately depart Gol 4 and no Rexaran ships ever return. Out of the question. There's no way I'm getting a white piece. There's nothing unusual about the research outpost itself. It is a little bit of temporary shelter erected against the salvaged elements, allowing surface-level planetary study for a limited time before it wears down and conditions become untenable. The outpost on Gol 4 is nearing the end of its lifespan, but the planet's intense chill has yet to critically degrade the impermanent structure. The equipment, functional, cheap, intended to be abandoned, is well used, and the local databanks are filled with detailed but ultimately mundane accounts of the planet, as well as the simple experiments that were carried out in its harsh environment. Curiously, no closer examination seems to have been made of the mineral outcropping the outpost's foundations rest on. Scans by the ISS Irid-Fik indicate that the geological formation, a mountain mostly buried under ice, may be potentially hollow. More alarmingly, Science Officer Rukagex reports that the sole inhabitant of the outpost, the mysterious Exile, has gone missing and is nowhere to be found. Puzzling. So yeah, here's where this fell apart. I was assuming that this blocked the route the whole time. And clearly that's not true. And in fact, they've always been able to pass by. So, like, this is completely on me for thinking that I had a defensive structure that I really didn't. But in this case, we'll just fight it to the bitter end. But I'm pretty sure this is this is us losing for sure. But I actually think we're going to get a pretty devastating loss. Like economically and just like in general, they are going to be beating the crap out of us for an extended period of time. Man, they've got everything here now. Energy siphons, torpedoes, missiles, plasma throwers, blue lasers, UV lasers, coil guns, antimatter missiles. Like, there's no real way of defending against it at this point. Yeah, so this is gonna suck. In fact, I guess at that point, we're a little bit close, but maybe this is, I don't know, we'll try and take it out to the 3-hour mark, but I gotta try and find out what I'm gonna do with this playthrough. Like, do I keep trying to go with it, and see where this winds up? Because, like, it's not the end of the world. I am probably gonna wind up in a situation where, they'll be able to enforce their war goals on me unless I can do something to halt the advance of these ships. Anyways, the ISS Irid Sac crew report that what appeared to our scanners as an asteroid is in fact a gigantic floating ball of junk, comprised of the broken remains of various vehicles, rockets, and hazardous materials, many of them radioactive. The junk ball seems to be the detritus of an unknown alien nation in the early space age. It would appear this nation was an interstellar litterer, ejecting dangerous industrial waste into orbit rather than disposing of it planetside. Radiometric dating suggests that these remains are millions of years old and have been floating through space from an unknown point of origin for most of that time. Science Officer Drayden notes that some of the materials found on this floating junk heap are quite rare and could be refined into useful resources. Waste not, want not.
Resource scan complete.
Unacceptable. There will be no peace. Most of the asteroid has been laser chiseled with great precision into the likeness of a small Raxar temple or a large shrine, a shrine to the Untold, the great destroyer deity of old Raxaran faiths. The temple has been tumbling through the quiet space for far longer than we have been capable of spaceflight, which is disturbing at best. Is it Tyrantil? Thank you very much for the follow. Sorry you're catching me at a bad moment. Terrifying at worst. Naturally, Science Officer Furlick urges us to search for more stellar objects that match the characteristics of the space temple, and has uploaded a list of likely candidates in nearby systems to the situation log. So, looking we will go. These ships come back in 3 months. So they are going to be able to do some nasty stuff to us for the next little while, and I am going to have to try and come up with some sort of a way of imposing some losses on them.
Starbase under attack.
So the big thing that's going to, like right now, there's a 5% difference between us, but as we start losing systems,
Starbase under attack.
This is going to make my, I'm going to start seeing my war exhaustion go up by quite a bit. Elections are in progress. Select a candidate to support or spend influence to keep our current ruler for another term. We won't spend the influence. Let's see. The story for here might be that with the new losses, the boss is under review, and we have elected Dorbax, previous envoy on Kirox's private stash, to become the new ruler. Wait, so we only have one envoy now? Oh my god, that's terrible. Oh, good. Okay, cool.
Imagine the profit margins on this tech.
Yeah, so man, this is a really interesting race here. Yeah, but what am I going to fight them with? All my fleets got lost. Oh, actually, apparently these ones are back. Okay, so let's take them back to... Yeah, I gotta take him back to the... I was gonna try and do something fancy and like move around, but I think in this case here I want to try and... Let's heal up at our main... I mean, our capital is nothing right now. That's not going to be a good defensive position. But what else am I gonna do, right? I'm kind of blocked off here. Large caliber ballistic weapons that fire cased explosive shells. The main advantage of these cannons is their high rate of fire. Jesus. Duplas steel armor, not that it'll make a difference.
Planetary exploitation forecast complete.
Wait, aren't these guys supposed to be back now? 2260, 05, 0511. Okay, so I'm already caught up. Oh my god, that's not good.
Evading hostiles.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, they've got us on both ends now, so... No, 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 no. This is gonna be... quite the challenge. Oh, Jesus, there's no way we're surviving this. Yeah, we gotta retreat as soon as possible. Oh, that was such a bad choice. Yeah, it's all getting destroyed. So, we had a chance before. Now they can just enforce. They're just going to enforce their demands. That sucks so much.
The aliens are reaching out.
Come on, the boy's adversary. Let us end this war. Never! That's a pretty mean place for them to put my, my ships. Okay, you know what? I really wanted this to be at the 3-hour mark. As soon as people start telling me how to play the game, I lose interest. So sorry, Senior Q, but like I just this is I'm not in the state where I can really handle this. And it is the 3-hour mark anyway. So, look, I mean, I get the excitement. It's just, I know what I can handle, and I'm generally happy to have you here. I actually, for the most part, you've actually been good for the stream. But I'm dealing with the fact that if anything, the pain has gotten worse. I am dealing with a very difficult fight, which I have now pretty much lost. And I think just to have, like, I'll load it again. When you are facing a more or less full strength 4.5k fleet and a full like 92% 3.6k fleet, and my combined forces, if they didn't get wiped out, were 3k. If I can somehow work around the edge and reclaim some of these sectors, I might be able to make those numbers work. And for some reason, yeah. But like the problem is that they have everything they need now to sort of enforce the attacks. So the one thing that I am going to try in the end is to repair this as early as well as I can, try and sneak around and basically take these things back. But the whole plan of like trying to take Julau, to try and recover all of these, like essentially at this point, I need to, I need to be able to take on incredibly weak enemies. And the fact of the matter is that I'm just not in a position to be able to do that quickly. Generally, whenever I've been able to do that, I've been able to, like have a little more breathing room. The original sin is just the fact that I thought they couldn't get past this sector. If I had actually been paying attention, and if I had seen that I didn't have an FTL inhibitor, I would have acted very differently. I almost certainly would have taken Julau, because that would have prevented them from moving forward. But the thing is, it's Iron Man, right? Like, Iron Man doesn't forgive errors like that. And it's a shame, because it's such a dumb reason for me to lose this war. But that's, that's the way it is, right? Like, I only have myself to blame for it. But the idea of, like, the idea that I'm going to be able to do 7% on attrition within 24 months is a very, very, very hopeful proposition. Like, if I were to try, like, let's say I just ignored my ship's health altogether and moved around like this. Yeah, so this on its own takes 121 days. I'm going to be going the long way. So I just don't see a situation in which I'm able to make up that 7% to do the status quo. If I didn't lose that ship, that might be different. But I just don't see a situation in which I have anything but the demands enforced on me. Anyways, I think I'm going to try and put a brave face on this playthrough, but my prospects are pretty grim here. It also looks like my frames are dropping, so it's probably a good time to finish anyway. There's going to be another Elder Scrolls episode tomorrow for those of you that want to watch it. That will be starting at 7 o'clock, and I will try to hang out inside of chat, though as Senior Q can tell me, or can tell you that I'm not always consistent at replying right away on it. Wednesday, I don't recall if Phantom Brigade gets an update or not. I'm also not 100% sure if the local game dev collective is doing something. So if there's the possibility that I may have to stream earlier on Wednesday, if I do stream, it will be it'll either be Phantom Brigade or Industries of Titan. Excuse me, but I need to figure that out. And finally, on Friday, I actually was pleasantly surprised at the number of people who came and hung out and checked out Cyberpunk. But I am going to be back to Darkest Dungeon for that. Yes, thank you everybody for the stream. I know it wasn't one of my better ones, but I really think I can't go to bed yet, but I need to like lie down for a little bit or do something, because I'm actually like I need to stop. I need to find something to do. Anyways, thank you all for watching, particularly on a day where I'm not feeling like I'm at my best. Please treat Night Valian well. He's currently playing a really great game. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Into the Breach is Subset Games' follow-up to FTL. It's wonderful. If you've not played it, it's like an indie version of XCOM. XCOM and Into the Breach are different games, but it is a really good turn-based game. And Night Valian, I believe, is playing to try and get all of the different unlocks. So he's definitely somebody who I think would be good to watch for this. So anyways, thank you again for watching. Thank you for your kind words. And I will see some of you tomorrow, some of you Wednesday. For those of you who are here for Stellaris, I'll see you in a week, and I'll do my best to stick with this playthrough, but we'll see if it's salvageable. Anyways, talk to you later. Nah, don't be... Yeah. Let me type it out. Yeah, but if you didn't get a chance to read it or see it, don't beat yourself up too much about it, Senior Q. It's something I need to work on too, but yeah, it's definitely the thing that I have the biggest difficulty with in terms of streaming. But please don't beat yourself up. I want you to feel like you are welcome here and that you can enjoy yourself and be yourself. Anyways, please enjoy Night Valians.